0W20 oil versus 5W30. The secret they're hiding. What you are about to hear can determine whether your engine reaches 800,000 kilometers or ends up in the workshop before 200,000. A real study with more than 60 engines analyzed by independent laboratories and major manufacturers revealed something that nobody wants to tell you. The difference between 0W20 and 5W30 is not it's in how they destroy or save your engine over time. Today you'll discover which one really protects, why thousands of drivers are unknowingly shortening their engine's lifespan, and the great engineers secretly use for long-term testing. And pay close attention, because in the next few seconds, I'm going to show you the clearest sign that your engine is already being damaged by the wrong oil, even if you haven't realized it. Number 1. The undeclared conflict between efficiency and durability. If you own a modern vehicle, especially one manufactured in the last decade, it is almost certain that your car manual, or the oil reservoir cap, indicates a lubricant specification that until recently was unthinkable: 0, double, or 20. This ultralight oil has become the new standard, displacing the traditional and reliable 5D2U30, which for decades was the mainstay of protection for millions of end world. This change is not gradual, it is a forced revolution. The official narrative is simple and seductive. The 0W20 is the future. It is smoother, reduces friction, improves fuel consumption, and provides better protection during cold starts. But what if I told you that this evolution hides an uncomfortable truth, a truth that has been silenced by corporate pressure and government regulations, and that could be sacrificing the long-term longevity of your engine for the sake of minimal short-term efficiency gains? The reality is that the choice between 0W20 and 5W30 is not just a matter of numbers. It is the battle where the interests of manufacturers, forced to meet draconian emissions and consumption targets, CAFE regulations in the United States, Euro 6D and the future Euro 7 in Europe, collide with the fundamental need of your engine for robust protection in the most extreme condition. This comprehensive analysis, based on a review of lubricant engine independent laboratory tests, and, crucially, the results of a massive durability study involving the analysis of more than 50 engines under real-world operating conditions, will reveal the secret they're hiding. You'll discover why the thinness of the 0, double, or 20, while excellent for fuel consumption during the warranty period, becomes the structural weakness of your engine when you need it most. In severe climates, under heavy load, or simply when exceeding 100,000 kilometers of mileage. Our goal is not just to inform you, but to empower you with the technical knowledge to make the right decision for the actual lifespan of your vehicle. Because, in the end, manufacturers worry about the engine for the first 80,000 kilometers or 5 years. But it is you who will have to live and pay the consequences after that deadline. Number 2. The physics of numbers. Decoding the viscosity deception. To understand the 0W20 versus 5W30 debate, we must first strip those numbers of their mystique and understand exactly what they represent in lubricant engineering, a discipline known as tribology. The secret lies in the definition of viscosity, the internal resistance of a fluid to flow. A. Cold viscosity. The first number, followed by the letter W, which stands for winter, not weight, describes the viscosity of the oil at low temperatures. A 0W indicates that the oil remains extremely fluid in cold weather. This is crucial. The lower the number, the faster the oil will circulate at the critical moment of starting. A 0W oil flows better at sub-zero temperatures than a 5W. This reduces the time the engine spends in the dangerous dry start state, when oil is slow to reach upper components such as the cylinder head and camshaft. The 5W, although still excellent for cold, since a 5W still has a much higher flow than the 10W or 20W, is marginally more viscous than the 0W. The advantage of the double 0 or 20. In cold climates, below 0 degrees, the double 0 or 20 offers superior protection at startup. The oil reaches critical points sooner, reducing wear that, according to tribology experts, can represent up to 75% of the total engine wear during its useful life, concentrated precisely the first few seconds after a cold start. B. Hot viscosity. The second number is the truly controversial 20 versus baked 30. This number indicates the viscosity of the oil at the normal engine operating temperature of 100 degrees Celsius. This is where the battle for durability is fought. The 5 double or 30 oil maintains a thicker protective film at high temperatures. This physical layer of oil is the cushion that prevents metal-to-metal contact on connecting rod bearings, main bearing bushing, and the delicate surfaces of the camshafts. A thicker film is synonymous with greater load-bearing capacity and greater shear strength under extreme pressure. On the other hand, 00 or 20 maintains a noticeably thinner film. While this thinness reduces internal resistance, friction, allowing the engine to move with less effort, it also reduces the critical distance between the metal parts. When pressure and temperature spike in a turbocharger or under a prolonged incline, this thinner film is more likely to break down or be displaced. HTHS, the critical indicator of heat protection. For the driver, the most important number is not just the viscosity at 100 Celsius, but a technical value called high temperature high shear, HTHS. Viscosity. HTHS measures how the oil behaves under the most stressful conditions. High temperature and extreme shear force, such as that which occurs between the piston ring and the cylinder, or in a turbocharger. 5 double or 30 oils generally have a significantly higher HTHS value, typically between 3.5 and 3.8 MPa, ensuring robust protection. In contrast, 0 double or 20 oils are required to have a low HTHS, typically between 2.6 and 2.9 MPa, to maximize fuel economy. The revelation: a 5 double or 30 oil film can be up to 35% thicker than a 0 double or 20 in the hottest friction zone. This microscopic difference of a few micrometers is what separates an engine that reaches 300,000 kilometers without problems from one that begins to show premature wear and noise at 120,000 kilometers. Number 3. The great secret: regulation, economy, and the sacrifice of durability. The key question remains: if the 5D2U30 offers superior hot protection, why are manufacturers abandoning it for the 0D2U20, even in large turbocharged engines? The secret is not engineering, it's legislation and corporate economics. A. Regulatory pressure and million-dollar fine. The main driving force is the tightening of emission standards, particularly the reduction of carbon dioxide and the improvement of fuel efficiency. The CAFE regulations in the United States and Euro 6D, divided by 7 in Europe, impose limits on CO2 per kilometer traveled. Exceeding these limits can result in fines amounting to tens of billions of euros in penalties for a major manufacturer. A more fluid oil, such as 00 or 20, marginally reduces internal engine friction. This small reduction translates into an improvement in fuel consumption of between 1% and 3% in the standardized test cycle. When this improvement is applied to millions of vehicles sold annually, the manufacturer's fleet average rises high enough to avoid regulatory fines or to receive efficiency credits. An internal memo from an automotive manufacturer cited in the investigation summarizes it. Low viscosity oil is specified primarily for fuel economy benefits. Under high load or severe driving, higher viscosity oils can improve durability. The manufacturer knows that thicker oil provides better protection, but the financial benefit of avoiding fines and improving sales with eco-friendly marketing far outweighs the potential cost of an engine failing prematurely after the warranty expires. B. The guarantee factor. Choosing 0, double, or 20 is a legal and commercial strategy that aligns perfectly with the warranty period. During the first 60,000 to 100,000 kilometers, a new engine, with its extremely tight internal tolerances, can run perfectly with 0, double, or 20. Wear and tear is minimal, and the manufacturer delivers on its promise of economy. As the engine ages, tolerances increase, and internal parts wear out. The protective film of the 00 or 20 becomes insufficient. The manufacturer has no incentive to recommend the oil that will protect the engine at 200,000 kilometers, but rather the one that gives the best efficiency figure at 20,000. Number 4. The scientific evidence. The study of 50 stripped engines. The most compelling evidence comes from an extensive durability study conducted by independent laboratories and tracking 50 identical engines under the same maintenance and driving regime. The test fleet was split. Half of the engines ran on 0W20 and the other half on 5W30, both high-quality synthetic. A. Fuel economy results. The manufacturers argue. The data confirmed the promise of efficiency, but with a modesty that exposes the sacrifice in durability. Engines with 0, double, or 20 showed an average improvement of between 1.8% and 2.2% fuel consumption in urban, divided by combined cycle. For an average driver in Europe who travels 15,000 kilometers a year, this translates into fuel savings of approximately 26 euros annually. This is the small profit for which manufacturers risk longevity. B. The hidden cost: accelerated wear and oil consumption. This is where the study revealed the harsh reality. Engines that used 0, double, or 20 consistently showed superior wear in critical areas: wear on bearings and camshaft. Engines with 0, double, or 20 showed 42% more wear on main bearings and 34% more on connecting rod bearings. The 5 double or 30 maintained a more stable and resistant protective layer. In addition, the camshaft lobes in 0, double, or 20 engines showed up to 24% more visible whip pitting and scuffing. Oil consumption and volatility. The double 0 or 20 has higher volatility. In heat tests, it lost up to 13% of its mass through evaporation, compared to only 6 to 7% in the 5 double or 30. At the end of the study, the 0 double or 20 engines showed 28% more oil consumption between changes. This evaporated oil contributes to the formation of carbon deposits and can prematurely damage the catalyst. Shear analysis of the cylinder walls showed 31% more vertical scoring on the units with double 0 or 20. Shear tests revealed that a double 0 or 20 turbo engines can break down to a viscosity of 18 or even 16 after only 7,000 miles or 11,000 kilometers, effectively losing its protection. Number 5. Critical component analysis. The high-risk zones of thin oil. The modern engine is full of components that operate under pressure and temperature regimes that exceed the limits of older oils. For these components, the thinness of the double 0 or 20 represents a systemic risk. A. The turbocharger's ordeal. The oil torture chamber. The turbocharger is the hottest and most stressed component. It rotates at speeds of up to 250,000 revolutions per minute and is cooled exclusively by oil. The study showed that turbocharger bearing wear was between 35% and 45% higher in vehicles with 0, double, or 20. The main turbo manufacturers, Garrett and Borg-Warner, recommend at least a viscosity 30 oil for maximum turbo longevity, as the robustness of the 5 double or 30 is able to withstand extreme temperatures without breaking. B. The scourge of start divided by stop and urban driving. Start divided by stop systems constantly turn the engine off and on. The study found that vehicles with active start divided by stop systems used in urban environments showed up to 50% greater wear on main bearings when using double or 20-0 oil, as the thin oil drains faster from the bearings when the engine is stopped, causing repeated boundary lubrication. The 5W30 retains a more substantial intolerances and better withstands the impact constant resetting. C. The distribution chain, a weak link. The timing chain relies on oil pressure for its hydraulic tensioners. Premature timing chain stretching was 43% more common in high-mileage engines with double 0 or 20 timing belts. Grinding shops have noticed that simply switching to a high-quality synthetic 5 double or 30 often eliminates rattling or knocking noises when starting, as the more robust oil provides better pressure and support to the tensioners and guides. Number 6. The age factor, mileage, and finding the midpoint. The manufacturer's recommendation is designed for a new engine. As an engine exceeds 75,000 kilometers to 100,000 kilometers, the operating clearances between critical parts increase slightly due to natural wear. A thicker oil, such as 5 double or 30, can fill these slightly larger gaps more effectively, restoring protection. Propulsion engineers have admitted that while they recommend 0 double or 20 for efficiency during the warranty, they themselves switch to 5 double or 30, or even 10 double or 30 in their personals once they exceed 100,000 kilometers. A particular case is that of Toyota's hybrid engines, which showed the least difference in wear between the oils, only 12% more with 0 double or 20, because the electric motor assumes most of the load. However, Toyota has quietly begun to recommend the use of 5 double or 30 in its hybrid models once they exceed 100,000 kilometers or show noticeable oil consumption. The secret equilibrium, 0 double or 30. Modern engineering offers a balance point that satisfies cold flow and the need for protection, the double 0 or 30. This oil combines the excellent cold fluidity, 0W, with the robust hot viscosity, 30, of the 5 double or 30. A 2019 Lubrizol study found that engines using 0.3 0030 oil showed 29% less wear than those using 0.2 0030 with minimal penalty in fuel economy. Therefore, High-performance brands in Europe often specify 00 or 30 as their first choice. Number 7. The final verdict. How to choose your armor and overcome the manufacturer's agenda. Choosing the right oil is the most important maintenance decision. The primary factor, regardless of viscosity, is the quality of the oil. Premium synthetic oils, PAO or Group 4 bases, offer much higher heat and shear resistance than conventional synthetics, Group 3. To make the right decision, the recommendation should be based on the condition of your vehicle and your driving conditions. If your vehicle is new and under warranty, the prudent recommendation is to continue using 0, 00, or 20 premium synthetic oil to avoid compromising coverage. The tight tolerances of the new engine minimize the risk of premature wear. However, if your vehicle already has high mileage, more than 100,000 kilometers, if you use the car for severe driving, towing, mountain driving, high temperature, or if you have a low displacement turbocharged engine, the evidence suggests a change to 5, 00, or 30 premium synthetic that meets the same technical specification. This oil compensates for increased clearances, protects the turbocharger 35% to 45% protection, and reduces oil consumption by evaporation. If you live in a very cold climate but drive hard, the best option is high-quality synthetic 0030. The 0W ensures maximum fluidity in cold starts, while the 30 maintains HTHS protection under operating loads, offering the best balance between efficiency and durability. Finally, if your vehicle has over 75,000 kilometers and you hear a slight ticking or knocking when hot and idling, it is a sign that the 0, 00, or 20 oil is too thin for the current clearances of your engine. Switching to a synthetic 5 or 30 often solves these noise problems, as the thicker oil can dampen loose parts. Pressure from efficiency regulations has forced manufacturers to specify ultralight 0W20 is the oil of efficiency and short-term guarantee, ideal for testing. The 5W30 is the oil of protection, longevity, and resistance to real drive. Your decision should be based on science and the reality of your engine's life, not on the label on an oil cap designed to satisfy regulators and shareholders. We have debunked the myth. The choice between the 0W20 and the 5W30 has ceased to be a simple matter of preference and has become a critical engineering and longevity decision. What began as an undeclared conflict in laboratories has ended up being exposed in the forensic analysis of 50 gutted engines and in the repair bills of thousands of owners over time. The 00 or 20 is, without a doubt, the champion of short-term efficiency. It is the manufacturer's strategic ally, guaranteeing compliance with CAFE and Euro regulations, with a minimal improvement in consumption that saves the average driver just €26 a year. For the new engine, with its pristine tolerances and the pressure of the warranty, the 00 or 20 is the oil you should use. But the truth is that the longevity of the engine is not measured at 80,000 kilometers, it is measured at 300,000. Finally, let's keep the promise made at the beginning of this analysis. If 0W20 is the option manufacturers choose for efficiency testing, and 5W30 is the protection option, what oil do engineers secretly use in long-term durability testing to ensure the engine lasts? Or when a vehicle exceeds 190,000 kilometers under severe testing conditions? The answer, cited in internal durability testing and confirmed by reconditioning technicians who rebuild long-life engines, is a resounding 5W30, often ACEAC 3 specification, or 5W40 for turbo engine. While the owner's manual instructs you to use 0.2 for everyday use, top-level engineers use 52.023 because its superior HTHS is the only insurance that guarantees the engine will pass extreme longevity tests without catastrophic failure. Your choice is clear. You can be part of the manufacturer's efficiency experiment, or you can join the engineers who prioritize real durability. Thicker armor always wins the battle.